No more clowning around. I'm not the Vindicator, or the Victimizer, or the Vaporizer, or the Mind Vader.
I'm the result of Project HOS-1.
Something that needs to be accepted when it comes to the world of film is that just about nothing is truly 100% original. Your favorite thing was probably inspired by something old and or foreign that not as many people know about. Old German expressionist films basically invented modern horror. Star Wars is Flash Gordon, and even my favorite film of all time, RoboCop, is nowhere near original, as much as I love it. A few years before Paul Verhoeven was set to direct, the original treatment for RoboCop was a Judge Dredd film, until the rights eventually fell through and 2000 AD decided that it just wasn't the right time. Though many elements remained from that treatment, leaving RoboCop with a lot of really fun references to Dredd, from certain lines of dialogue to Robo and Ann Lewis basically being Dredd and Anderson. But during its time in production limbo, Robo would make reference to other properties while the official script took form, like the comic book Rom and Machine Man. But rarely do I ever hear mention of the inspiration that I am convinced the writers took at least some of from a low-budget Canadian sci-fi action revenge film from 1986 brought to us by Jean-Claude Lord. Look, this ain't the Vibrator, or the Victimizer, or the Violator. This is the Vindicator. Carl Lehman, all-around decent family man dude who's mostly focused on studying the intelligence of chimps or something, is tricked by his colleague Alex White, who causes Carl to be mutilated beyond repair to be used for their company's top-secret cyborg weapon project, nicknamed Frankenstein. All goes totally apeshit when Robo-Carl escapes and slowly begins regaining his memory, as he realizes there is hardly anything left of his humanity, and all that's left to do is get some cold, hard revenge against the corporation that took away his life. Yeah, that doesn't sound like RoboCop at all. He's not even a cop! Look, there are a lot of the same story beats, so let's see just how similar Vindicator really is to RoboCop. Could it be that this little Canucksploitation Frankenstein modern wannabe flick truly was some of the inspiration for the iconic RoboCop? Let's find out. That's what you're here for anyway.
Well, Hunter, I've never seen you like this before. Something you're afraid of?
Anyone in their right mind would be afraid of it. But inside that suit, there's a man. And I've never, ever lost to a man.
Alex White, also much like Dick Jones, has ties with the criminal underworld and hires a mercenary to try and take out Combat Carl before he can expose the truth. Before Kurtwood Smith, there was Pam Goddamn Grier. I don't know which of her sci-fi roles is the most random. Teacher Bot from Class of 1999, Carjacker Malone from Escape from LA, or this. But I know one thing's for sure, Foxy Brown makes everything extra awesome. Certain sequences are also way too similar to just chalk up as coincidence. Check this shit out.
Carl, no! No, Carl! No, I saved your life! Carl, no!
And there is no way that Ed Neumeier and Michael Miner weren't at least a little bit inspired by this scene. God, it even feels like the Robo armor has a similar vibe, only instead of the mouth being exposed, it's his eyes. And it's just as much of an existential crisis when our underdog cybernetic hero removes his helmet to reveal the grim reality of his situation. In Vindicator's case, it's to his wife. In RoboCop, it's Ann Lewis. He's just a brain and a soul, trapped inside of a cold corporate weapon. So, does RoboCop lose some points for being kind of a huge fucking ripoff? No, absolutely not, because everything is inspired by something. I mean shit. Vindicator itself ain't really original either. This movie itself was clearly heavily inspired by Frankenstein, and most likely The Terminator, which had come out 2 years prior, and The Terminator itself used a ton of stuff from old Outer Limits episodes, particularly Soldier and Demon with the Glass Hand. That's why it says acknowledgement of the works of Harlan Ellison at the end. My point, I suppose, is that it's impossible to not be inspired by some other thing, and that there is a difference between just straight up plagiarism and inspiration. I feel like it's all in what you do with the material. Regardless of all the media that RoboCop took influence from, it oozes with its own style and has that unique social commentary that Verhoeven and Ed Neumeyer are fantastic at. And the ultra-violence still rivals most movies. All that being said, The Vindicator absolutely deserves more appreciation. Not just for doing a bunch of stuff before RoboCop did it, but it really is a badass little modern take on the Frankenstein monster. I fucking adore the suit. It was designed by Stan Winston, and it's such a shame that the copies of this film aren't the clearest, because when you look at the behind-the-scenes photos, you can see so much incredible detail that's harder to spot in the movie itself. He also really does look absolutely gnarly with the helmet off. Stan Winston also decided to bring back parts of the Vindicator suit for Predator 2. One of the lost hunters on the Yacha ship at the end is rocking the chest plate and some other cybernetic looking pieces. And honestly, how's that for another weirdly cool comparison? Vindicator was designed by Stan Winston, who gave us amazing characters like the Terminator, and RoboCop was designed by Rob Bottin, whose gross out effects and John Carpenter's The Thing still hold up. So you know what? That alone makes both movies entirely awesome as fuck. Director Jean-Claude Lord had previously directed the Canadian horror film Visiting Hours, which is a treat for any fan of Michael Ironside because it might be the most unhinged performance of his career. At least right up there with General Katana. Whether you want to call it Frankenstein 2000 or Vindicator, it's a hidden gem that I watch at least a few times a year. Even with its budgetary limitations, it manages to be a tightly paced revenge film with a hero that's easy to root for. Get him, Carl! Crush that dumbass car! Yeah! Hey, you know what? We should also talk about how Kevin Peter Hall played an intergalactic hunter that hunts hunters before the Predator was even an idea. And it was almost Van Damme, looking like this.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
So I'll leave you with this. RoboCop was almost Judge Dredd, and the Predator was almost some sort of a high-kicking grasshopper praying mantis thing. Life is unpredictable. Appreciate what you have, and stay out of trouble, creep.